there were many, many people along my journey that helped me get to where I am today. And then it has to do a little bit with like finding your own voice. I mean, that's what coaching is. It's helping people find their voice, helping people figure out their path, whatever it is, personal life, career. They have a certain goal they want to meet. How do they get there? I help people find their voice. That is so important to me. I love people. I'm passionate about people. Anyone, and I've said this before, who works in the D&I space has to love people, right?
Yeah.
In order to do this work. And so that's my give back. And there's a give back model in my coaching business as well to help foster that continuously over the years. So I'm really excited about that, as well as all of my business ventures for 2023.
Yeah. What's up? What's going on? It's your boy, it's your host, Jamar Jones, as we dive into another very impactful episode of the Foureva Podcast. We talk about things that are personal, things that are business, because business is personal. I am the founder of Foureva Media. I'm also a national speaker and the author of the book, Change Your Circle, Change Your Life. And that's exactly what we're going to be diving into here today with our special guest. And I always like to tell like a little quick story, as far as bringing different people on here. And our guest is no exception. We got connected, I believe, by her ability to wanting to change her circle. We got connected through LinkedIn, and she actually has an intentional act that she did when she was working over in the corporate world, where she would intentionally want to connect with others and carve out space to have 15-minute conversations, which is super impactful, super powerful, but it ultimately helped her get different perspective and meet different people to change her circle, which is so powerful. She is now an entrepreneur of a few businesses, and she has an impeccable resume just within the corporate sector. She's worked with many companies, done very impactful work, and we're talking about none other than Vanessa Vining. Welcome to the Foureva Podcast.
Thank you, Jamar. Wow, that was an amazing intro. I was just doing what I love to do, and so I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I mean, I love every time we talk. It's always some knowledge that you just kind of drop, and I just soak it in. So I love the conversations, and so I first want to talk about, you were a part of our Lead the Movement Business Conference, first and foremost, and we kind of had a rush kind of meeting of each other, because once you heard about the conference, you immediately like, oh my God, I got to be a part of this. And you were actually on our panel. And it was just super impactful. The knowledge you dropped there. Just share your experience, just, being there at that conference, and what it was like to just soak in all that energy.
Wow, it was amazing. First, thank you for asking me to join you at that conference. I think it's so important, being a Midwest gal myself, Chi-Town.
Yeah.
It's always nice to be back in the Midwest and support what's happening there. So first, thank you for having me. And I think it was life-changing for me. I think your conference, to be honest with you, was one of the seeds that was put in my head about how I can really make a change in this industry on my own, because it was very entrepreneurial focused. And
Yeah.
the panel that I was on, all of us are friends for life. I mean, it was
Yeah.
just very impactful. And so, and meeting the people that was there was awesome. Just the entrepreneurs that were there, the questions, the businesses, the people who are also passion leaders, that were there. It was just an amazing opportunity, like I said, to connect and make new alliances and friends for life, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. It was super. I mean, I'm still kind of coming off the high of the conference, but we're gonna do it again. So we're super happy about where that's going to go. This time we're having more partnerships involved. So that would be very much needed when you rent out an arena as a small business owner. That was quite a feat,
And you know
to
what?
say the
I'm
least.
there. Just whatever you need, I'll come. I'll speak on a panel. I'll come back to the Midwest. But you know what I also appreciate is that arenas are opening up their venues for these type of
Yeah,
conferences more and more now. And that's awesome. That's not stuff that happens often, or not without a big price tag attached to it, which is
yes,
unattainable for a lot of minority owned businesses. So I'm really happy
right.
that arenas are starting to take a look at that and how they can do more in helping bring forward opportunities for people of color in the business
Yeah.
industry.
I was super shocked when I got the quote back because they had told me something initial discovery, and then I got the quote. I'm like, that's totally different than what we talked about. That's actually something I could see happening. So let's talk a little bit about your background of kind of where you came from, because when you look kind of at your resume and the things you've done, you kind of automatically may have some preconceived notions of like, well, you had to have a good upbringing, you had to have a good background, good mentorship, great parents, just like everything was kind of set up because of where you're at today. You kind of see the successes and what you're doing, and now in the entrepreneurship space, to even have the guts to take that, which we'll talk about that in a second. But what, just give us a little snapshot of your background and kind of what was that upbringing like?
Well, wow. Thank you for that question. I'm born and raised in Chicago, and I had an okay upbringing. I'm actually working on a book, so my memoir
Nice.
to talk a little bit about that. But I've had my bumpy roads growing up, in the suburbs of Chicago, and the life challenges that are thrown at you and your family. But my mom was very inspirational. I had a lot of strong women in my family
Wow.
who led the charge in making sure and guiding me. And so I think one of the great things that was instilled in me was I was a lifelong learner. And I think that helped me through everything. And so I actually got my first job in corporate America when I was 19 years old. A lot of people don't know that. I started
Wow.
before I ever stepped a toe into the marketing and advertising space. I actually worked in association management when I was 19. And I actually got that job because I helped one of my fellow classmates who was struggling in school. And she said, one day I'm gonna pay you back, Vanessa, for all your help. And I was like, no problem. That's who I was. I've
Yeah.
always been an empathetic person and love people and love helping people. And so she recommended me to her sister, who was at the time a director of the National Black MBA Association. She oversaw that association for a company in Chicago, and she recommended me for a temp job. And she hired me for the temp work, and then she hired me permanently as the membership coordinator. And that was actually my very first job in corporate America when I was 19. And so that lifelong, you know, ability to help people, passion for helping people, lifelong learner was my first job into how I got my first job in corporate America. And so
Yeah.
grew from there after a few years. And then I answered an ad back when newspapers were more popular in Chicago. It was either the Chicago Sun-Times or the Chicago Tribune or the Sun-Times, and got a job in marketing and advertising, and haven't looked back. And it's been a number of years that I've been in the industry, very seasoned. And so
Wow.
worked for a general market agency and pivoted between that and multicultural, worked for some of the big shops like the Burrells of the world,
Yeah.
and it's been an amazing, amazing journey. Moved to New York in 2010 to take a role working on AT&T's business. And that was
Yeah.
really the pivot of my career. That was when I really found my superpower. Although my entire career helped people and work with people and help support people and lift people up in the total market as well as in the multicultural space. I had that kind of 360 point of view. That was my first step in blending people and culture, DE&I, and my marketing and advertising
Yeah.
experience, the associate director, diversity strategy and operations. And that was the unlock for really getting more into that DE&I space. And I had a really wonderful time doing that for 4 years. And then I've kind of worked in different capacities since that role. but it's still leaning into diversity, multicultural people culture in various roles. But most recently, I was the chief diversity officer for VaynerX, which is a global communications company spearheaded by the well-known Gary Vaynerchuk, who you
Yes.
know, Jamar. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and so I did that for a little over a year, and then last year, decided, it's time to just do something different with myself, and so started three businesses, which I'm really excited
Not
about.
one, not
This
two, three.
Go big or go home. Go big or go home. And I'm really excited about that. I think each of them is unique. To be fair, one of them I started many, many years ago, Vining Marketing Group. And I started like 2015. It really was a small, just consulting with small business owners, people who needed help understanding marketing and advertising media, how to go about it. I did some event planning. I planned a few weddings, which I love to do a planning. I am a project manager in a lot of respects. And media will do that to you because you have to project manage buys,
Yes.
runs and
Yes.
so, but I didn't really put a lot into that because I was still working in corporate America and had some pretty senior level roles, which didn't give me a ton of time to invest. But now moving into 2023 and venturing out on my own, I have two new businesses that I've started, as well as VMG, which I will give some love to. I'm going to be pivoting that platform to more of an e-com business and bringing in my
Okay.
son to help me with that. Streetwear companies, small companies that really just need help on the e-com side. But
Yeah.
then I have two new businesses, which I'm excited about, as I said, the Cultural Effect, which is a full service marketing and advertising company that does everything through the lens of DE&I. It's a really radically different approach to how we partner with brands, as well as bring their messaging to life through marketing and advertising. And I'm really, really excited about that. We'll do consulting, we'll do full service work. It'll just depend. And I really want to be there to support small businesses, as I said earlier, small, mid-sized businesses. I think there are oftentimes they don't feel that they have access to people like me or agencies because it can be a little bit pricey. So I want to make sure that I'm
Yes,
leaning
we
into
can.
their needs. Yeah, leaning into their
Yeah.
needs, how I can help them, get started on a good path, but also from a DE&I standpoint, because you want to make sure that you're starting out at the infancy stages of your business, the beginning stages of your business, and thinking about how do you maintain that balance of inclusion and belonging from the
Yeah.
start. So it's really permeates within the DNA of the company.
Yeah.
And so that one is really I'm really excited about. And then I have a Coaching Life's Journey, which is more a little bit about just coaching people, transformational life coaching. I've been coaching and mentoring people for years in my own free time, spare time. I love it. There are people who continue to come back to me all these years just to stay connected and for guidance. And that really tells me that I might have a little bit of something to be able to help people. And so that's kind of my third venture that I'm going to probably, into retirement years continue to
Yeah.
do because I want to make sure that, I help people find their voice. That is so important to me. I love people. I'm passionate about people. Anyone, and I've said this before, who works in the D&I space has to love people, right?
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
order to
You
do
have
this
to.
work. And so that's my give back. And there's a give back model in my coaching business as well to help foster that continuously over the years. So I'm really excited about that as well as all of my business ventures for 2023.
Yeah. Yeah, it's exciting. So I'm gonna take a second just to unpack a couple things that you said. So first is you provided value to somebody and expected nothing in return to be able to kind of get that first shot into your corporate job, getting that temp role. That's really powerful because a lot of people try to do things to be able to get something right back in return. That's immediately their mind's like, well, what's in it for me? What's in it for me? So you provided value to somebody and said, hey, here you go. And for some reason in them, they were like, I'm going to repay you back for that someday, somehow. I don't know how, but I'm going to do that. and you got your first opportunity, and that's just, that's something I don't want people to skip over because that's kind of the key to success and going in that direction. Second of all, through your kind of, going from different roles, different responsibilities, different jobs, you also kind of gain confidence, and it sounds like you found your superpower of the things that you're really, really good at. And I think that a lot of people everybody has a superpower, everybody has a gift, they just have to be able to find it. They have to be able to kind of unlock it. And a lot of times it's not when you're in the comfort zone. It's when you're uncomfortable is when it unlocks. It's almost like, I don't know. I'm a big comic book fan, as you can see in the background. So like even with the X-Men, they're mutants, and like a lot of times in their most distressful moment, that's when the ability is found, that their power that is found, um, because they're very uncomfortable and they just react, and then they kind of learn how to control it. And I feel like that's the same thing with people today. They have to kind of learn what that ability is, and then how do you hone it in, how do you control it. So as you started to go through your professional corporate career, now going into entrepreneurship, you just took that superpower and said, here's the value that I can give. Here it is. And you've packaged it up. And I think it's so if people are trying to figure out the path, I mean, that's exactly what you have to do. You have to discover that and package it up. So it's absolutely incredible what you've done. How did you gain that confidence? I guess going through those different roles, different responsibilities, job transfers, moving. I mean, all that you have to gain confidence within yourself to get to those next levels. Um, where did that come from?
Ooh, I think that's a great question. Sometimes I wonder myself where it came from. But I think again, it didn't happen in a vacuum. It wasn't just me. There were many, many people along my journey that helped me get to where I am today. Um, and then it has to do a little bit with like finding your own voice. I mean, that's what coaching is. It's helping people find their voice, helping people figure out their path, whatever it is, personal life, career. Um, they have a certain goal they want to meet. How do they get there? And so it really takes a person, having the desire to want to be different and learn. And I think my lifelong learning has a love for lifelong learning has been a big part of that. I think the
Yeah.
people along the way. I mean, out the gate, when I mentioned my very first job in association management, I remember my her name was Dorothy Davenport, and she was a bad woman. Let me tell you, my short haircut, literally, she had a short haircut, and it was years later that I fell in love with the short haircut. But she taught me at 19 how to enter a room, how to speak, how to conduct myself in business. And I was 19 and I was like a sponge, like literally soaking
Wow.
up everything. And I think that was really where I started to see glimmers of like confidence, was from watching and having other Black women. And mind you, this was a time when Black women in corporate America were very few and far between and
Yeah.
really did not have a seat at the table. And so, parlaying from that into, other agencies I've worked for, Deborah Gray Young, I know she's probably stop
Yeah.
talking about me, Vanessa. I used to look, she was my director when I was at E Morris Communications, and she was from New York, moved to Chicago, and now she's in Chicago and I'm in New York.
Yeah, you know.
But talk about a dynamic woman. I mean, we would sit in her office and she would just drill into me like so many different things about the business, about how to approach something, how to think strategically about things. And she was really instrumental in helping me build more confidence because I was like, I want to be like her. But as I've gotten older, I've learned don't try to be like someone else. Learn
Yeah.
from them and then find your own voice.
Yes.
Find your
Yes.
own, like, what is it? What are you here to do? What's your
Yeah.
purpose? Right. And so it's people like her, and others over the years that have just sewed into me. And so them sewing into me, and I've always sewed into other people. I don't want to die with all this inside of me. I need to share
Yeah.
this. I want to make sure that everyone has someone in their life who listens, helps them figure it out without telling them what to do, because my journey is different from your journey, is different from someone else's journey. But how do you give them the resources and the tools to be able to find that? One of the
Yeah.
things that Deborah taught me, and I often tell people, is if this is what you want to do, be a student of it. Don't slosh about it. Like if you want to do marketing and advertising, you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to be a scientist, you want to do something in STEM. If that's what you want to do, be a student of it. Surround yourself with people who are doing those things and listen and learn. And
Mm.
so all of the learning of all these years from all these amazing women have given me the strength to say, okay, all those pearls of wisdom, all that experience, now I feel a little more confident in going out on my own. And then all of those people that were part of my journey are all coming along with me. No one gets left behind. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Everyone had a piece of getting me to where I am. And that's important to me.
Oh man. So many other things I could unpack there. But I love how you just soaked in that, knowledge and just said, "Hey, I'm here to learn, and I'm also going to apply the learning any
Mhm.
moment I can, so that way you can gain that confidence." That's incredible.
And when you get
Uh,
older, you can do that. When I was
yeah,
20, 30, maybe even in my 40s, I wasn't as confident. I
yeah,
really wasn't. It's a hard notion when you say I'm going to step out and do this on my own, because it's you don't have that steady check coming in. And
yeah,
it's like, I
yeah,
can just go get another job. It's like,
yeah,
and have it so money going out, no money coming in. And we've talked about this. I mean,
yeah,
it's a
yeah,
scary proposition, but I think the beauty of it is there's so many people that are supporting me and so many people that have faith that I can do this, and bring a unique value and perspective to my clients and to people that I work with that's different. I'll give you a
yeah.
great example of something I read in Ad Age late last year about companies that are now walking away from their agencies. And a big part of that is because they don't feel like they're really getting that strategic guidance and
Mm,
expertise that they're paying for. And
yeah,
so when you look at what I'm offering and how I'm building DE&I into everything that we do, and then we have the consulting, we have the training, we also have the more traditional marketing and advertising. You're getting access to some of the most senior people in this industry who understand marketing and advertising and understand culture and how
yeah,
we can bring those brand messages forward in an authentic way. And you may be able to save some of the FTE rates that some of these
yeah,
bigger agencies pay. And it's not an indictment against them. I mean,
yeah,
I've worked at pretty much all of the, at one point in time in my career, some of the major holding companies and
yeah,
agencies within them, they all have very unique different models that serve their clients. It's just that what I'm doing is uniquely different in that I have a wealth of experience, and how I view that business and partnership is a very internal external model that I think
yeah,
other businesses just aren't thinking about at the onset of that
yeah.
partnership.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. For entrepreneurship for you, um, what I guess what made you take that leap? Because there's a lot of people that I talk to that come up to me and they're like, "Dude, how do you do this? Like, how do you do what you do?" And they're shocked. They're like, "How long you been in business?" I'm like 7.5 years, and like, "Holy crap!" Like, how? Because they're like, "I want to take that step off the cliff, and dive off." What was that for you to go into this space? And I know you're gonna do impactful work, but for internally, for yourself, like what was that to actually say, you know what? I'm jumping. I'm taking the leap. Like Steve Harvey said, I'm taking you gotta jump. You gotta jump.
You do. I think, my advice to anyone that wants to do this, as I start out saying, it's scary. It can be very scary and daunting, to be your own boss. There are great things about it, but then there's also scary things about it. I think I would just
Yeah.
say to anyone, if you want, start a small business, but still work for someone else if you feel that you need to do that. I'm not opposed to doing that,
Mhm.
as well, but I'm saying, like, to start this and nurture it and grow it, I think it actually makes me better served to work with someone else, because everything that I learned here, I'm bringing back into the business operations, and I'm able to better help that business, right?
Right.
So, I mean, I would advise people, like, if you're nervous, start small, work for someone else and build the foundation of your business. Save, because it is, depending on your business model, it can be costly to set it up, to, kind of get it going, and operating, and that can be an expense associated with it. So if that's what you want to do, save for it. I think banks are way more open now to giving loans to businesses, uh, and particularly businesses of color.
Mhm.
And I think that's a great starting point. To jump right into it without having income coming in, you have to make sure that you're financially prepared for that long haul. It
Mm,
can
yeah,
be 6 months to a year before you have any income coming in. And so you want to make sure that whatever your life circumstances, wherever you are, that you're preparing for that, either working, again, starting small, working another full time job, or if you have the ability to be able to do it full time. But you have to get up in the morning now, because there's, when you're your own boss, you have to get up in the morning. There's no like,
this
oh,
is
let's wait
real.
till 10,
This is real.
get up and sit in my, no, you got to get up every day. It's a grind
Yep.
every day. And my mentor tells me all the time, complacency is the kiss of death. You can never be complacent. Not even if you're an entrepreneur, but whatever you do in life, you can't be
Yeah.
complacent. You have to
Yeah.
always be thinking about moving forward. How do you move forward? But
Yeah.
it's daunting, but it's doable. Surround yourself with a tribe of people who are going to lift you up. I was just mentoring two young women as part of a program, Sister Circle Media, and I was two women in entertainment media industry, and I was advising them, like, build your board of directors, right?
Huh.
Surround yourself with people who bring certain things to you, someone who will, flat out tell you, no, you need to stop it. My mentor, if I call him and be like, oh, I don't understand, he'd be like, here, listen. Then you say, you done? Okay,
Yeah.
now let's keep moving. So I think surrounding your people who bring you joy and happiness, people who will help strengthen you, build your
Yes.
direct personal board of directors, I think is a great way to help you figure out your plan
Yeah.
as you're building the plan, and then activating your plan, whatever that plan is for you.
Yeah, I love that. I love that because you need different kind of skill sets within that board of directors. You do need kind of like the person that's going to cheer you on, and also you need that person that's going to be very technical, very logical about the situation. You kind of need the in between person. You need the love and care person. You need you need these different types of people because there's different moments too that require different kind of responses
Right. And
from
my
that
mentor is
side.
not in this, and my mentor's not in this industry, mind you.
Yeah,
Completely
yeah, and they
different
could be
industry.
anywhere too. They
Mhm.
could be anywhere, which is awesome. So I'm gonna ask some quick questions, some kind of rapid fire questions, and just give me your top, off the mind response. So because there's a few different avenues and they're all different kind of lanes. So first, if a company, so let's say a larger organization, and let's say they're not doing much in DEI uh, currently today, what advice would you give them to get started, in this space? And let's say it's a medium sized, to kind of larger organization, so there's, at least over, let's say 100 to 500 employees, they're in this space where they haven't done a lot, but they want to get into it. What would be your advice for them?
Ooh, great question. I think first and foremost, the leadership, the CEO of that company has to get engaged. There are a number of things that they can do. First, they can do a survey to serve, to understand what their employee sentiment is, how they feel about DE&I, what they're currently doing, and then do an internal assessment of what they're doing, and then pairing that with what are the employees looking for, getting or not getting from the company, but then also what the company sees that they are doing, and where they might be some deficit and things that they can be doing better, and creating a center of belonging for that company. And so I think marrying that research and data together is important. But I think companies oftentimes look at data as the end all be all. Data is one avenue to get you to what you really ultimately should be doing, and activating, building the plan and then activating against that plan. But I think it requires your CEO at the highest level, all of your senior leadership, and everyone being on the same page. It's not a bottom up, or a top down. It's a both. They both have to meet in the middle, and to create an environment that really leans into diversity, equity, and inclusion and moves the needle.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I love the togetherness kind of model instead of one driver. And you need everybody on board for a change like that.
Yeah, I was listening to, just to add to that, I was listening to, I'm a chief member, and there was a
Yeah.
speaker the other day, and someone in the chat said that DE&I is not vertical, it's horizontal.
Mm,
It's everyone. It's not top down or bottom up. And so that was my way of saying that. It's horizontal, it's not vertical.
yeah. Yeah. Oh, such a good outlook on it.
Mhm.
Second question. What is it like working with Gary V as you were kind of side by side working with him a lot closer, to his world? What was that like on a day-to-day basis? And were there any kind of any stories you want to share from that?
Wow, you know Gary. It's a ball of energy every day, all day. He's a passionate guy. He is a serial entrepreneur. And so anyone around him, including myself, who has the ability or able to connect with him, you just learn a lot. I think, you know, he speaks his truth,
Mhm.
and hopefully people listen to that, and then they figure out what that means for themselves. And
Yeah.
but it was a great ride working there with him and the entire leadership team across VaynerX globally. And I wish them, they're going to do awesome work. I think Gary just opened a production partnership studio
Yeah, I think I
partnership with
saw
someone
that.
in
Yeah.
between. So it's Gary. He's going to continue to grow and build. So
Yeah, and just launched in stores with V Friends and got the
yeah.
conference coming, and I mean, I'm like, "Holy that's
There's
a
just
lot. That's a
always
lot going
something,
on."
always something going. And there is never, never a moment where there's not something going on in his world. But he that's who he is.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's cool. That's cool. As far as from all the companies that you've worked at, what is the biggest challenge that you see? And it doesn't have to be DEI focused, just overall, from a marketing perspective, from a DEI perspective, what is the biggest challenge overall that you're seeing kind of across all companies? I know everybody kind of has their different challenges, but what is something that kind of carries from company to company to company to company that you're like, this is pretty common?
Hmm. I would say, in some respects, listening to our clients and what their real needs are. I think
Hmm.
that is kind of pervasive in the industry. I think oftentimes agencies have their point of view of how things should go from a marketing standpoint. And that's not to say that it's wrong, but oftentimes I've been in rooms and meetings or new business pitches, where the client has clearly said this is what they want. And the agency is like, we don't agree with that. And this is what we think you should do. I think it's a better approach to that is listening to the client's perspective, coming up with your own perspective, and then having a discussion with the client about why we think this approach is a better approach, what you like about their approach. Maybe that's a long-term approach that we can get to. These are the steps that we need to get before, achieve or accomplish before we get there. I think that sometimes is a deficit. But then also, I think companies are really starting to push agencies to do more in the supplier diversity space,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
And I think that there are not enough solutions being developed to
yeah,
make this a much more equitable marketplace for diverse publishers. And that is a challenge I've been in this business a long time. It has changed and it's grown. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done there to make it more
yeah,
equitable for diverse publishers. And that's across the board, agencies, brands pushing more for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
carving out dollars for it. I think that those are two industry issues that I think still exist that we still need to work on. I don't know that it's all going to happen in my lifetime, but I'm going to do everything
Yeah.
I can to
It's a
help.
lot of work.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of
Yeah.
work. But
Yeah.
hopefully people are starting to see glimmers of change, and there's still a lot of work to be done.
Yeah. Last question. And this one might be a little close. So as I'm doing, my um business and kind of my mission and purpose, a lot of people are starting to kind of ask me kind of how did I get here? What were some tips or tricks of how to do this, especially as a black entrepreneur and as a black man, doing this kind of work. Um, is there any kind of messages you want to give to other black women that are also trying to find their way, find their path? Because they may look to you as, and I know you say you've done mentorship, you've done coaching, as like, hey, well, how did she do it? How did she get to where she's at? Is there any message just from your perspective, from your lens of what you want to share?
Wow. Again, be a student. Be a student of what you want to do, and do something you're passionate about. I mean, I've done things, and I'll give you an example. I worked in a new business development department less than a year, not my jam. Love being part of a team of, pitching new business. Happy to do that. But that being my full time job was not my passion. So I think
Yeah.
do what you're passionate about, whatever that is. Find your passion. It will be something you would do for free. But then once you figure it out, build your network around it, build the relationships that are necessary around it. Read, you know, uh, go on LinkedIn, find people who are also in that industry, reach out to them. Much like I did the 15 minutes, and I've met so many people who have just been amazing. I've gotten friendships and partnerships that I would have never imagined out of that. Build your relationships, people in the industry you want to be in. And I also would think invest in yourself. Investing in you is the best investment you could ever do.
Yes.
Ever.
Yes.
If there's a That is the biggest thing. Invest in you. Spend more time on developing you than you do on your job, because the value that brings long term is invaluable. So carve out whatever you can afford out of your budget to invest in you, whether it's a seminar, a class, a certificate, whatever that is for you. Invest in you and build your relationships. And all of that, much like what happened with me in my career, will lead you to figure out what you want to do. And hopefully you find the strength to be able to step out and do those things that you're passionate about. So that's what I would suggest that people do.
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing. Where can people find you at as far as to connect with you?
They can go to vanessavining.com. I have a contact. It's a little bit about me, and there's some videos of different things that I've done. I got to put this one there when this one drops.
100%.
100%, 100%. And there's a contact. You can contact me there. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn, Vanessa Vining, at Vanessa Vining on Instagram, at Van Vining on Instagram, and Van Vining on Facebook, IG and Facebook.
Awesome. Awesome. And we dropped it right here
There you
for you
go.
guys to make it really
At Van
easy.
Vining.
But also for people that are listening, we have an audio version of this as well. So it's great for them to know where to find you. Well, thank you so much for your time, your
You're
knowledge,
welcome.
and your energy. That's one thing that you really can't duplicate is someone's energy. And you give off great energy, great vibes.
Okay.
And I know that you're going to be doing incredible work. You've already done incredible work. You're going to continue to do that. Can't wait for the book to drop. So we got a little teaser here on the podcast that the book
Little
is coming.
teaser.
Book is
Gotta
coming.
finish writing it, but it's coming. And I think what people will find in that book is that everyone has their challenges, and then there's anyone can overcome anything if
Yeah.
they really put their heart and soul into it. I'm really excited about that book dropping. Hopefully,
Uh,
at some point this year, we'll see how it goes.
yeah, it's gonna pack so many people. It's gonna be fantastic, and that's one of the shocking things when I dropped my book. I did not realize the reach of a book. It's just
Yeah,
a
yeah.
different source, it's incredible. So I can't wait for your book to come out. And thank you again so much. So everybody that's listening, watching, definitely subscribe, definitely like, comment, share this podcast, and definitely connect. I always say this at the end of every single podcast: connect with Vanessa. A lot of people think that people are unreachable. Uh, Connect with her. You never know what that conversation will do for you, but also do for her in her journey. And you just never know what that relationship may be. So reach out, but you got to take action. You got to take action for yourself. And like Vanessa said, invest in yourself. So invest in this connection. Definitely connect. Thank you so much. And till the next episode, everybody, peace. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification bell for more amazing content that we're going to be putting out. And don't forget, you can change your circle to change your life.